Welcome to Chasing Rings Overtime. These fast break episodes are an extension of the main show, delivering quick-hitting takes, bold opinions, and analysis on the biggest stories and topics across sports. While we remain rooted in football year-round, Overtime expands our lens to cover everything happening across the sports world. We will return for a second season of full-length episodes in July as we ramp up for complete NCAA football and NFL coverage in preparation for the 2026 seasons. Until then, let's go. This is Chasing Rings Overtime. All right. What's up, fellas?
What's happening? How you doing, Guru?
Y'all enjoy a little bit of exhale since all the draft stuff ended?
Bruh. He's got jokes, man.
I needed it.
Let's hop right into this, y'all. So a little bit of controversy in Detroit last night in the Cleveland-Detroit series. After erasing a 9-point deficit in the last 3 minutes of the game, Cleveland ended up defeating Detroit, who was the number one seed, 117-113 in overtime to take a 3-2 lead in that series. However, with the game tied at the end of regulation, one of the Thompson twins for the Pistons stripped Donovan Mitchell on Cleveland and was tripped by Jared Allen while pursuing a loose ball. Very controversial call. Tony Brothers, the referee, stated that after the game, he felt it was incidental contact. Neither player had possession, but that's been all the talk today. Gentlemen, what do you guys think? Should there have been, do you think it was a foul? And would you have called it in that situation? Because, you know, we've had these conversations about playoff calls versus regular season calls. Big dude, do you think it was a foul? And if so, would you have called it in that particular situation?
Well, the thing that made it difficult to me that people aren't mentioning it would assure, I keep saying his name wrong, assure time,
that's why I just said the Thompson twin. I just said the Thompson twin.
Assure and amen. I'll try the best I can. It was questionable whether he had an offensive foul on the drive. That's the one thing I think they missed. But in this situation, I think if it was a flagrant foul, Brothers said that they both had legal position. Now, how can you both have legal position, but there's contact? If it had been contact that was some kind of forcible contact, they would have called it flagrant. So how could you call a flagrant in the same situation, in the same legalities, and not call that, especially when I would say the player was displaced? I mean, Thompson, it's not a call that I normally would say to make. I say Thompson didn't flop and he wasn't displaced. I would have said that was a foul.
And you would have called it under those circumstances that late in the playoff game?
Probably so, only because he was displaced, a little bit bang, looking to see. I think it's all in the eye of the beholder. And if Thompson showed any signs of flopping, I wouldn't have called it. And that one, Jared Allen is a much bigger, stronger guy, and he displaced him.
What about you, G? What's your take on it?
I don't know about that one. Only because, I went back and looked at quite a few angles of that video, and what I've not heard thus far, I'm not saying it's not out there, but what I haven't heard is Asur knocked the dude's arm away before the trip.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They did not call that. That was what no one mentioned. That's where I'll say. But if we're talking about they didn't call that, but now you get somebody that is, and it's supposed to be like that. When you box somebody out, you can box them out, and you can box them all the way back to the foul line, but you can't displace them. It looked like he had his back.
But also, if you go up, if you go for a pass, you go up for a rebound, whatever, or even a shot, and if someone just breathes too heavy on your arms, they'll call out a foul. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if there was going to be any foul call, it should have been Asur when he pushed Thompson's arm away first. Mm-hmm. And when I went back and looked at it, I was like, well, did Thompson actually go through a clipping motion or anything like that? And at least the angles that I watched, I couldn't see that. But what I could see is when both are driving for the ball his arm is knocked out of the way and it's kind of crossing his body, and he just kind of flowed through, with his step, but he was also pulling back. And but he was definitely clipped. So there's no denying that piece. I wouldn't have called a foul on Thompson. If any foul would have happened, it would have been on Asur for knocking Thompson's hand away.
Yeah, I don't think that the contact that Thompson had on Allen was significant at all, to be quite honest. And I've seen a few people say he knocked his arm away. I look at it again, looked like he grazed his arm, and to me that's a stretch. I didn't think he displaced him at all with the contact on the arm, but I think he was impeded to the ball with that trip. I feel like that was a foul. I know playoffs is particular, but I feel like it impacted the play and his ability to get to the ball or lack thereof at that point. And I know that officials don't want to make calls like that where a game possibly entered the free throw line, but I think I would have called that. I thought it was a foul, and I looked at it several times, and I hear what you guys are saying about the contact on the arm. I didn't feel like that dislodged Allen. Like Allen was not in pursuit of the ball in the same manner in which Thompson was, in my opinion. He didn't really make movement towards the ball. And when Thompson made movement towards the ball is when he was tripped.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. And I looked at it a few times.
And he has back to him, so.
Because
I think both of them went after the ball until is Allen, right?
Mm-hmm.
It looked like Allen looked towards the ball.
Yeah, and he
saw that Thompson was between him and the ball and didn't really pursue it that hard.
And got knocked out and got his hand knocked away, and that's when he pulled up. But that's what I saw in the video.
Man, now you're making me want to look at it again. But I think I would have called it. I think I would have called the foul on Allen and the free throws. But at the end of the day, and even Thompson said this, they shouldn't have even been in that situation. I mean, you were up 9 points with 3 minutes left.
Yep.
And then you still got a reprieve by going to overtime, to be quite honest. It's not like that lost the game for you. You still could have won the game in overtime. If they lost the game on that play, then I think there should be a bigger stink raised. But you did have a chance to win it in overtime. So
you got to my final point.
So
you had an opportunity to pull it out, and you should have. So
yep.
Heck up.
Especially as the number 1 seed, a game 5 at home, you got to take care of business. Up by 9 that late, you got to put that team away. So it's going to be real interesting now. It's going to be real interesting to see if Cleveland can close it out.
It's early summer. Some of the beaches around the world are nice. They got the money. Go veg out for a little bit and lick your wounds. Come back next season.
Oh, so you counting them out already?
Who, Detroit?
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I could care less. I like Cade Cunningham, so I would like to see them in the Knicks, to be quite honest with you, because they do not like each other. Detroit thinks they got unfinished business, and the Knicks kind of like, nah. So I would kind of like to see that. I think it could get 90s type chippy if it's
that's true. I could see that. That. Okay, I changed my mind.
All right, so next, let's jump into the Sixers, man. Talking about a huge disappointment, and I can't even imagine how Sixers fans feel. But, man, I was so amped up for this series after the way the Sixers took care of the Celtics in Boston. I was like, oh, we're about to have an epic New York, Philly, New Jersey Turnpike battle here for 7 games, man. Right? That would have been sweet. And, like I said, I think many of us were revving up for a 7-game series. Sixers looked great in Boston the previous round. But, of course, Embiid's always that wild card, and he did get banged up, in the end of that Boston series. But, I mean, damn, Philly was never in this series. And then they fired the GM, Daryl Morey, on Tuesday. And I'm thinking, well, he didn't go on the floor and nut up. I mean, they had the talent to advance. I'm not really quite sure. I mean, big dude, you can probably give us a little bit more insight there as a Sixers fan, why Morey was the casualty. But what the hell happened in Philly, and where do the Sixers go next?
My brother.
I mean, I think Morey. I mean, he didn't make all. He made some good. He made some. He made some good draft picks. I mean, he's not Howie, but he's made some. I think the problem is Morey not understanding where everything else comes from. I mean, they wanted. I mean, this whole idea of having 3 players making more than $40 million a year, and one guy that's 36 years old making 50-something million. He got 2. I mean, he has 2 years. Paul George has 2 years left on his contract, and Embiid 3 years. So I don't know that he was even thinking. Yeah,
I can see that
one
now.
of the reasons.
Why the hell would you sign him to a contract that long at this stage of his career?
Yeah, and then you're telling the coaches basically that to put a leash on him. Put a leash on him. You know, he's going to be all right. And then, you know, the appendicitis thing, you win some, you lose some. You know, you couldn't have done much about that, but not much was getting better, and he seemed to be okay with it. Then all of a sudden, the other interest that he has, you know,
You're
with
talking about your beat.
No, I'm talking about Morey.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm talking about Morey. The other interest I think he has.
Okay.
He's part owner of the Commanders, right? Yeah. So he's got these other interests also across there. Then the last part that nobody's talking about was the game that the Sixers got swept. He wasn't even there. He was at the basketball combine. He was not even there when the Sixers got swept. So when you add all of them up, questionable decision making. I wasn't sure. I don't know if any of y'all at any point on any place without mentioning, of course, what you saw it on, saw the press conferences or saw it today. It's very interesting what I saw today from the new person that they hired. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. I don't know him for the new corporation. Neither him nor the person in charge of the whole corporation, they did not mention Embiid or Paul George by name. Neither one said, we got a good team and we got Embiid and we got Paul George and we can win it. The new guy said, listen, we're out of excuses. I don't want to hear that we were hurt because we were healthy for the most part and we still got swept. So it was good to hear him say that. Now, my question is, I heard what you said. Now the Philly fans are going to say, now what are you going to do with it? And a lot of people wonder why they kept the coach. Why do you keep the coach? You know, why are you keeping Nick?
I think he did the best he could with what he had, don't you?
Well, that's what they said as well. You know, I was also a question of whether I just didn't feel like Nick could do his job. Did I say yeah. I didn't think he could do his job.
The GM kind of hamstrung the coach.
Yeah, they all said that the team played hard for him. They said, look, there's not much we can do. They played hard for the coach, and we got to give the coach credit. To get through that series, that's why you got to stay, because they were down. But the rest of it, they said it just was really inexcusable. So I think where they're going is maybe you can't get out of all the contracts. You got to figure out which one you're going to get from under. The Embiid one, because he's got 3 years left, is going to be – in fact, it doesn't start until this year. You know, people don't realize that 3 years, it starts this basketball year coming up.
Yeah,
and then he's got
to Embiid to a long-term. I would not have signed Embiid to a long-term contract.
Yeah, and I think that's the final nail in the coffin. And it just –
well, the owners had to sign off on that, though.
Yeah, they did. They can't fire themselves, but that's why they brought this guy in. And this guy that they brought in is supposed to be doing a search for the new president of basketball operations. But I think as far as where the Sixers are going is, and then they got to decide what they're going to do, even who they're going to bring in for Maxey, because as good of a year as Maxey had, I think Maxey kind of found out, and he's my favorite player in the NBA right now. But guess what? I think he found out he was more of a Robin than he is a Batman.
Different level. It was a different level for sure.
But then he played pretty decent within his own game, though.
Oh, he did.
Played excellent. He was excellent this year.
Like within his own, he was probably the brightest spot, you know, on that team. As I went back and was looking at, the clips and stuff, I thought that he was probably the brightest spot. Here's the thing.
I'd say Edgecombe. I thought
You think
Edgecombe was
Edgecombe?
that dude. Yeah, Edgecombe was that dude.
I can give you that.
And Bob Myers. Bob Myers is associated with the Commanders, not Daryl Morey.
Okay, I got it backwards. But I have concerns about that. You know?
But so my thing is Embiid.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing this chatter about, okay, so next year you limit Embiid, don't play him until after Christmas.
Again?
And hearing this stuff about, well, then you play him, a couple times a week. And then, as you get into March, then you start ramping him up. Well, you might find yourself not in the playoffs with that approach. So I don't understand how that's a solution to that. But
here's the thing.
I think one of their biggest issues with signing Paul George, and I'm a big PG dude.
Me too.
But, bruh, it's done, man. It's over.
Right.
It's over.
Yeah,
And, I thought that you were on the move because Edgecombe was a tremendous pick. He was good in college, but I didn't think he'd be this good as a pro. Then I did same thing with Maxey, but Maxey was a Kentucky kid 1 year. You can't see much in the year, right? So you had him, and then you had Embiid's health, and then you had all these rotating guys in and out of Philly the last few years, the Tobias Harrises of the world. Harden did his little stint. I mean, sometimes, and I get the age of free agency that these guys with all this movement, but man, sometimes you got to keep these teams together for a few years to see what can happen. Like, I feel like the year that you guys went to the Eastern Finals and, I don't know, some little angel sitting on the rim in Toronto did y'all in, I felt like that team right there was the team to build off. And it's just gone backwards since then.
Yeah, and I would say so too. I guess the question is going to be is are they going to make the difficult move? This is where you say where the Sixers are going. It's going to be in order for them to get under from one of those contracts. Now, we mentioned two people. We mentioned
Who's going to want them, though? Who's going to
want Maxey.
Who's going to want
Say it again, G?
Who's going to want George? Who's going to want Embiid?
Right. So the question is going to be is where else is the value coming from? That's what I'm bringing up. Now, is this where you, in order for you to get rid of Embiid, do you have to off VJ Edgecombe or does Maxey really get traded at some point? Maybe not just yet.
Maxey, they saying Maxey might want out, but it's like, bro, your stuff's not that tight yet. I don't know who's going to want you after this Knicks series. If he could have got through that Knicks series, okay, maybe. But after that performance, nope.
Yeah,
that's the biggest problem.
That's
the biggest problem. You don't have any assets to offer anyone. Somebody taking Embiid would be a sucker. But I thought that coming out of college because he didn't hardly play any games at Kansas because he was hurt.
But looking at the games, it seems that it wasn't just a one person thing on Embiid. If you look at a lot of the surrounding players, except for the two we mentioned, a lot of them weren't actually even them in some instances, particularly at the end of games, really not stepping up. If you really go back and look at it. And so I was like, okay.
I think my biggest problem with it was how they lost.
Yeah.
Because if they would have got beat 4 straight and it was, competitive, I mean, you're talking about numbers that were unbelievable. Like when we were texting on Mother's Day, big dude, I couldn't believe that was the score.
Yeah, I mean, they did not step up. That's just the bottom line. So I don't know if that's a skill or a mental issue or not.
I think it's both. I mean, because, and here's the thing, a lot of the stuff Knicks was beating them with hard old school hustle, beating them. Anytime somebody gets like 14 offensive boards, they just not hustling.
Yeah. Were they tired? You think possibly you guys were tired, big dude? And I'm not trying to come up with an excuse, but
yeah, I'm sure. But even if that's the case, there's no way you can play the Knicks the same, not knowing that their bench is totally different than Boston's. And
right.
Boston, we were able to, and all the stuff Boston was doing it, and they have Brown and they have Tatum also making a lot of money, all the money on them, and then how long does that go? So that's interesting because they don't really have a bench. So what's the East going to be like as you go down the stretch now? is Cleveland going to be dominating the East? You know, if they get through this season. Because I think if Cleveland gets through this series, you know, I don't know if the Knicks can handle them. I really don't know.
I think the Knicks sweep them. I don't know what it is about this Knicks team. I don't even like their roster, to be quite honest with you. But somehow they play well together, and I guess at the end of the day, that's all that counts.
Yeah, well, OG Anunoby, as I've mentioned before, in a lot of the conversations I know met with many people, I think he's the key to the. He's the.
I did not think he was that good. I really did not think he was that good.
Yeah, I saw that coming, and we had nobody. When I saw we had nobody for him, I stopped watching the game. I'm one of those people. I watched the game down by 20, 7 minutes left. We still got it. No, this one, Mother's Day, I didn't even try. I watched 2 minutes of that at somewhere eating. I was like,
I thought for sure they would win the fourth game. I thought for sure they would get it back to New York.
Yeah.
But you know, there is an option for next year, though.
What's that?
What's that?
Get a reliable sidekick for Embiid, or a six man who can come in when Embiid needs a break, or if he's injured, and actually play.
Well, let's see.
Who you gonna get though?
Yeah, I mean
that's a whole nother issue. But I think that's without. Well, that would be what I would be looking for if I am in the up in the front office. I'm trying like, okay, what can we do? Because I fully believe it's more like it was a mental lapse. Because when Embiid went down, I mean, the reality is that dude takes up space, and when he's playing, his presence is felt. Am I wrong?
No, not at all.
You're correct.
When he goes down, that can be a morale drop. But if you have a good quality, either a sidekick or a six man, when I say a sidekick, kind of that takes me back to like San Antonio with Twin Towers, or have someone who can come off the bench and still play pretty well. That actually may be something that can keep the morale up, so they can actually focus on the game and play within themselves and let those skills shine. I don't know if you have to blow up the roster to get that.
I think if there was some way that Embiid could possibly get through a season, because at your guards, man, I mean, maybe you switch up the style that you play a little bit, because with those two guards, there's no reason that Philly shouldn't be in the conversation. I think it's always seems to come down to Embiid's health. And I think you might be right about the morale, because you see your guy balling, you know, in the first couple of series, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, he's about to go down again, and your psyche's like, damn, we can't really do it without him. And you know, you beat yourself before they even throw the ball up. So it's possible. But man, I was so looking forward to that series.
So was I.
That would have been a heck of a series.
Yeah,
you know, triangle offense would actually work well in Embiid's with his condition, because if you think about it, it was just a whole lot of passing, and a lot of times your low post people were just going from one side to the other, and you had your dynamic guard. So I think that something like that would actually work. I like what you said, Guru. If there's a way to change the offense so he's not having to do a whole lot of quick stepping and aggravating his injuries, that's actually not a bad idea.
Stop taking all those threes. I don't care if the other big men around the league are doing it. Get your butt in the paint.
Right.
He because he can just shine on some people.
Yeah, and he couldn't, and he still was never fully back. He could barely get off the ground to dunk it. You know, when you saw that means you got to keep it basic. And
he got the sweet little mid-range jumper, man. I'm like, dude.
Very big.
Anyway, from one sweep to another sweep. Our turn now, G.
I don't want to hear it.
We're not going to delve into it too much. We're going to focus on LeBron. But anyways, the Lakers, of course, were swept up by the Thunder. And I think a real Lakers fan didn't expect anything less. Like I looked at a few moments of each game, but I kind of knew what that was going to be. But since the Lakers are out, all the talk is turned to, was that LeBron's last game? You know, a lot of people say he's headed to Cleveland. What are you guys' thoughts on LeBron's future? I'll start with you, G. What do you think his next move should be? I mean, if he returns next year, you think the Lakers should mess with him or move on from him? You know, what are your thoughts on LeBron moving forward?
Well, first, this did not surprise me. In some ways, I actually thought they overachieved, considering lots of
Agree.
stuff they went through. As
I
much as
agree.
I'm not a fan of our coach, I'm really not. But I actually think he's doing pretty. I actually
I'm
think
gonna
he's
say he didn't do a bad job, G. I mean, our
doing a
roster is
good job.
terrible.
And then y'all know how I felt about him when he was announced. I think I don't know if I told you a big dude, but Guru, he got it. I was like, I can't stand him. But
He's a
anyway,
dookie. He's a
he's
dookie. What's
stupid
the like?
and just who he is. But apparently, he really can coach, and the people, the men play for him. So I can put my hate aside. Now, to your question, LeBron, I still believe the man actually has miles left. If you watch him play, he has miles left. And so if I'm going to be objective about it, and if he wants to play, I say, yo, man, go find your team to play, just not LA, and take your son with you. That's kind of how I look at it.
I don't think Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland is the right place for him anymore.
Well, he has. Don't he, I think he has a lot of business out here.
Yeah, it was
I don't
very
think.
strategic. Signing
Mhm.
with the Lakers was very strategic in terms of his post basketball future.
Yeah.
So definitely I think LA is where he will reside, whether he decides to play or not. I'm with you, G. And I'm not gonna lie, I was not a big fan of the LeBron acquisition, only because I knew that we would end up in this situation
Exactly.
because of the money that we would have to put out for him, and we wouldn't be able to attract other free agents. And here we are.
Yep.
So, been great, LeBron. You somehow got us one. People try to diminish the COVID chip, but in some ways, to me, I thought it was more difficult to win
Everybody
that
plays.
championship. But I'm gonna take it and wear it proudly. It's been real. I like fairy tale endings. I would love for him to go back to Cleveland, put his ego aside, and go help Spider-Man win a title out there because they're close. They're real close.
And I
his
actually think
veteran leadership could be the difference. I agree with you, G. He's got something left in the tank, but is he going to be okay being the second or third wheel? I think he articulated that he was fine with it this year, but I don't think it really sat right with him.
Well, he tasted it, so
Yeah.
he tasted it.
What are your thoughts, big dude, the most objective person in the room here?
No. Well, you know what I wonder is if he does go. I know we just got done talking about Embiid. I mean, what about him? Does he go? Can they afford Embiid if LeBron does go?
Do not wish that on us.
Not wishing it. I'm just saying, trying to see what makes sense. I mean, about what
Negative.
Seriously, dude?
Negative. He's just trying to sabotage our franchise, G.
No,
get out of here with Embiid.
You the worst, man.
You should be down on that.
Oh my God!
Here's the thing: something else has to happen. And like I said, will the Lakers ever blow up the roster? I mean, who do they need to get rid of? I mean, that's just it. Reeves is going to be.
We just told you. We just told you.
Only the father and son. There's nobody else like Reeves. Like Reeves, I love Reeves. I don't understand what. Maybe it's just me. I don't see Reeves getting the Lakers to a championship.
Big dude, that's how bad we are. That he's one of our main guys. We need another superstar so that he can be what we think he is. Be the third dude. He should not be the second dude on a roster.
Okay, well, what about Giannis?
I take Giannis, but again, you're in a situation where you have to give up so much and you're not able to get any assets then. We got to build. We have to build again. Like some of these other teams, like the Detroits and the Clevelands, all these young gun teams. Okay. It catches up with you eventually because as they win and as guys get better, they're going to demand more money, but you're getting something out of it. OKC is probably going to go back to back. If that roster breaks up, so be it. You had 2 championships.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think JJ Redick, I wouldn't be surprised that he's already thinking about, what is the next iteration of this Lakers team without LeBron. So I'm actually kind of confident that if the front office listens to him, I can't believe I'm saying this. If the front office listens to Redick, I actually think with his mind that he'll get us in a good place. and where we can honestly be competitive and compete year in and year out. They're gonna have to listen to him and be willing to let some things go.
Yeah.
And that's just
I was
true. And
surprised
I'll be
we were
honest,
as good
I
as
don't
we.
like, huh?
I was surprised as we were as good as we were this year. To be quite
Oh, I
honest with
wasn't
you.
expecting it at all. And when old boy came from Dallas, what can I call his name right now? Luca. I really
Luka.
wasn't happy with that. I
I
just don't
wasn't
like
excited
ball.
either.
I
I
don't like
wasn't excited
ball.
either.
But
40 points a
he
game and
learned.
can't play defense.
Yeah, and I'm like, can we get rid of him too? So actually, 3 people.
And I tell you what, if he had played, we still would have got swept by OKC because he doesn't play defense.
Nope. And even when he called himself coming in ready, a little lighter, ready to play, that shit didn't last long.
Well, he's slow. He's slow.
He went back to what he does. And here's the thing: if you Larry Bird, that's one thing, and that's not. He's not Larry Bird.
Yeah. All right, folks. So that's it for Chasing Rings Overtime. Please be sure to continue to follow us on all the major streaming platforms. Like, follow, subscribe, start commenting on our posts, please. Until next time, this is Chasing Rings Overtime. See ya later.